Kendall, what is that?
Nothing.
What are you doing, Kendall Jenner? And what is this? What are you doing with these cigarettes?
Nothing.
What? Get in the house. Smoking cigarettes?
They say peace is something you find when the world finally slows down. But for Kendall Jenner, peace has never been still, it's always been in motion. Airports, flashing lights, and the hum of airplane engines have become her background music, the only rhythm that quiets her mind. For most people, rest means stopping. For Kendall, stopping feels like suffocating. She once admitted that her anxiety never really leaves, it just changes form. And when she's moving, flying, chasing something new, the noise in her head finally fades into the background. Maybe that's why she's always on the go, never staying long enough in one place for calm to catch her. Because when you've built a life that's always being watched, silence can feel louder than applause. This time, her escape wasn't a solo one, it was a journey with her two closest friends, Jen and Mary. They're the only ones who've seen every side of her, the confident woman on magazine covers, and the girl who still doubts herself in quiet hotel rooms. Together, they're a mix of chaos and calm, Jen bringing the wild energy, Mary grounding it with presence. The three of them packed their bags for a whirlwind trip that was supposed to be fun, but it became something much more, an emotional reset disguised as a vacation. Because behind every outfit change and luxury backdrop, Kendall was quietly searching for something the world can't give her, peace that isn't performative. But even her escapes are tied to her empire. This journey was also the stage for her major partnership with Adidas, one of her biggest campaigns yet. In just 4 days, she flew across continents, promoting the brand's first ever women-only shoe. It wasn't just a product launch, it was a global statement of power and image. From Shanghai's crowded streets to Paris's fashion chaos, Kendall kept the machine moving. Cameras followed, fans screamed, and her face appeared on every billboard. But behind those perfect images was a woman who could barely breathe. She later admitted that during those days, her body felt like it, blacked out, from exhaustion. Not from lack of strength, but from carrying a pace that no one can sustain forever. Because when your work is your identity, burnout doesn't announce itself, it hides behind your smile. And yet, somewhere in that blur of lights and airports, something started to change. Between one flight and the next, she began to crave something that couldn't be scheduled, a quiet moment, unfiltered and real. She talked about wanting to actually see the places she visits, not just pass through them. To taste food without taking a photo first. To laugh without someone recording it. It's a strange kind of loneliness, being seen by millions but rarely being known. Even her calm had become a performance. Every time she tried to pause, the world found a way to monetize it. Her rest became a brand. Her peace became content. But with Jen and Mary, that wall started to crack. Their inside jokes, their laughter that didn't need captions, those moments reminded her of who she was before fame sculpted her into something marketable. There's a freedom in being around people who don't need you to be, Kendall Jenner. Around them, she could breathe, curse, laugh too loudly, and exist without perfect lighting. Still, even with that comfort, the world around her reminded her of how heavy her image can feel. Then came Paris, a city that has always carried a strange energy for Kendall. It's where glamour meets loneliness, beauty meets pressure. Nights were filled with luxury dinners, flashing cameras, and moments that looked perfect online but felt hollow in real time. One night, she went to the legendary Crazy Horse Cabaret with her friends. The show was electric, women on stage owning their power with unapologetic grace. And as Kendall watched, she felt something unexpected, a mix of admiration and insecurity. She laughed, but then confessed that she felt lazy as a woman. The dancers seemed fearless, glowing in a kind of confidence she envied. It wasn't about looks or fame, it was about comfort in their own skin. That moment peeled back another layer of Kendall's armor, the quiet admission that even at the top, she still compares, still questions, still searches for a version of herself that feels enough. Later that night, the conversations shifted. Between sips of wine and city lights, the topic turned to love. Kendall joked about not having a type, teased by her friends, but her words carried something deeper, a hesitation that had nothing to do with romance and everything to do with fear. She talked about what her father once told her, that love isn't the hard part, staying in love is. Because staying means standing still long enough to face yourself. For Kendall, who's built a life on movement, stillness feels terrifying. It's not that she's afraid of love, it's that love forces reflection. It forces truth. Maybe that's why she's always been careful about who gets close. Maybe she's not avoiding love, maybe she's just protecting her peace. Then came the moment that changed everything. Far from the noise of the city, Kendall and her friends escaped to the French countryside. Horses, castles, fog, the kind of landscape that feels like a dream. She'd never ridden before, and yet she climbed onto the saddle, laughing nervously, the wind catching her hair. It wasn't for a photo shoot. It wasn't sponsored. It was real. For once, she wasn't performing, she was just living. The castle in the distance, the rhythm of hooves on the dirt, the sound of her friends laughing, it all blended into something that felt timeless. And in that stillness, something clicked. The peace she'd been chasing through planes and cameras was right there, waiting for her in the quiet. Maybe for the first time in years, Kendall Jenner wasn't running away from calm, she was walking toward it. By the end of the trip, she felt something she hadn't in a long time: balance. The airports, fittings, and flashing lights no longer defined her, they were just part of the story, not the whole thing. She and her friends laughed about how they played more than worked, but deep down, Kendall knew that was the point. This trip wasn't about escape, it was about rediscovery. The laughter, the tired eyes, the quiet breakfasts before flights, they were small reminders that life isn't something to perform. It's something to feel. She started to see that rest doesn't mean you're falling behind. Sometimes, pausing is the bravest thing you can do in a world that demands you keep running. And maybe that's the lesson she's still learning, that peace isn't found at the next destination, or in the next achievement. It's found in the pauses, the in-between moments, the seconds when you stop proving and start existing. For Kendall Jenner, the journey never really ends. But now, instead of running from calm, she's beginning to understand that calm was never